Hey, Allie, how you doing? I think you're on mute.
I'm good. How are you?
Okay, sorry, I was muted too.
No worries.
Well, welcome back. Good to see you again.
Thank you. How was your holiday?
It was pretty good. How was yours?
It was good. I went to California, so that was nice and warm.
Nice. That's fun. Got to miss out on some of the really cold weather out here, huh?
Well, I was back for New Year's. I was in the mountains snowboarding, so that was fun.
Okay. Nice. Hey, Jared, how's it going? You're muted.
Hello, how's it going? Thank you. I'm muted every time.
I think it's by default sometimes.
So question, are you guys meeting online only?
For this week, next week, and the following one, we are. But
Okay.
usually we do a hybrid approach where we have in person and people on Zoom at the same time.
Okay, cool.
Trying to get everything all set up for today. Hey, how's it going? Is it Lanny?
Yeah, it sure is.
Awesome.
What's your name?
I'm Eric.
Eric, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thanks for coming in today.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Have you been to a Toastmasters Club before?
Yeah, I actually used to go to this Toastmasters years ago.
Oh,
Yeah, and I'm a member of a couple different clubs, but I thought I would pop in and see how you guys are doing.
awesome. Well, thanks for popping in. Glad
Yeah,
to see you back.
Thanks for having me, Eric.
We're gonna wait a couple minutes here to see if we get more people joining today. I know Tim and Crystal sent me an email and said they weren't going to be here today. So we may end up with a smaller crowd in this meeting.
Do any of you guys have the Apple Pencil for your iPads?
No.
Nope.
No?
Mm-mm.
I just got one. I'm like trying to figure it out.
Nice. Well, let us know how you like it.
So far, a piece of paper and a pen seem easier, but I'm sure it's just a matter of getting used to it.
Hey Lee, how you doing?
Good, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you. Glad you could make it today.
Yeah. How are you?
Thanks. All right, I'm gonna send some links out in the chat really quickly here. All right. So with these links that I sent out, the first one is our feedback form for when we have speakers. And our second speaker for today actually canceled, so I'm going to be the only one speaking today. Our second link in here is the guest sign-in. So guests, if you could please, I would ask that you sign in on that second link there. The third link is for the agenda, if you'd like to see how our agenda is going today. And then the last link is the tools that we use if we're filling a role today. And if you're not filling a role today, then you probably don't need to worry about that last link. So we're going to go ahead and get started here because it's 2 minutes after. And hopefully we get a couple people rolling in late here. But if not, then it's going to be a small meeting here. All right, so I am Eric Boring. I will be the Toastmaster for today. And welcome on this fine Wednesday afternoon. I don't know about you guys, but it's been a very, very busy day for me today. So I apologize if I seem a little bit scattered this afternoon. We're going to start off with our inspirational quote for the day, which I had pulled up, but I forgot to grab it for the meeting really quick here. I don't want to misremember it, so give me just a second. All right, our inspirational quote for today comes from the author Geoff Colvin, and it's from the book called Talent is Overrated. This is a book that I read several years ago and really stuck with me. It's a fantastic book. I highly recommend it for everybody. And the basic premise of it is that the people who generally achieve the most are not the ones that have the natural talent. Usually it's the people that spend a ton of time practicing what they're passionate about. And he calls it deliberate practice, where you're practicing with the intention of getting better. So my quote for today from his book, Talent is Overrated, is the best performers set goals that are not about the outcome, but about the process of reaching the outcome. So we're going to roll right into our tweet response for today. Now, the tweet response, if any of you guys have Twitter, the idea is where I'm just going to ask a quick question, and your job is just to give us a really fast response. You know, if you've ever used Twitter, you only get like 140 characters or something like that. So that's maybe 1 or 2 sentences. So you're just going to answer the question with 1 or 2 sentences, just like you would on Twitter. My question for today is, what is something that you have spent a lot of time practicing, either currently or something in your past? Any volunteers want to start? All right, Lanny.
Yeah, the painting behind me is an example of some art that I do. So I try to set aside time, just like you were saying, to practice, because when you get to the end of a painting you've been working on for a week, it's like walking a tightrope. There's no room for, like, you want that result, but you're not so much into the process. You're more fixated on the result.
All right, thank you for sharing. That is a nice painting in that background there.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, any volunteers to go next?
I can go.
Okay, Allie.
I practice improving my mindset a lot. I believe that mindset is a muscle, just like the body. So I do a lot of self-growth by reading books and learning how to be optimistic and improve myself daily.
That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. I love reading books as well.
Awesome.
All right. And now it's down to Haley and Jared. Who wants to go?
I can go.
All right, Haley.
I have been working on my public speaking, as you know. So I try to focus more about the process than the end result because I feel like I'm never going to reach a point where I'm satisfied. I'm always going to have to work on it. But I noticed gradual improvement. So
That
keeps
fits
me
right in line with today's quote.
yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. All right, Jared.
Something that I have continued practicing is just working on myself. And focusing on what makes me happy and what's gonna make me better, regardless of what's going on around me, or regardless of, influences of social media and people around me, or say putting all of that stuff aside. Something that I practice is that, like, yeah, just whether it's the way that I'm eating, forcing myself to go to the gym, taking classes like these to improve my public speaking, all of that is all just ongoing practice. I'm like forcing myself to help myself and have it ongoing.
Very nice. All right. Thank you for sharing. Awesome. All right. Then I will go ahead and share my own response to this. I myself am working on leadership skills. I eventually would like to become a team leader at my place of work and lead a team of engineers. And I'm also in the National Guard, and I may have an opportunity coming up to become a platoon leader soon. So I'm working on my leadership skills. All right. Thanks everybody for sharing today. We're going to go ahead and move into our next section of the meeting here. Next section is our guest introductions. So Allie and Lanny, I'm just going to quickly ask you to introduce yourself real quick. Just tell us who you are, how you heard about the club, what interests you about Toastmasters, and anything else that you feel like sharing. So,
I can go first. My name is Allie, and I guess I want to improve my public speaking skills and become a better leader. I'm currently working on starting a business, so I think that I freeze up when I talk to large groups, so I'm working on getting better at that.
all right, thank you for sharing. I freeze up when I talk to groups too, so you're in good company. All right, Lanny, your turn.
So once upon a time, I was a member of Speakeasy. I'm trying to think back how many years ago, probably about 5-6 years ago. And I was in 2 clubs. I was teaching higher ed at the time down at Auraria campus for a couple of schools down there. And I just thought it would help with public speaking as well. I also was doing theater at the time, and I found the more I was getting in front of groups, the less I was thinking about my performance and just performing. And I'm a member of a couple of Toastmaster clubs, and I've went around the US. In 2020, my business was shut down. I'm no longer teaching higher ed, and just have such a good time just dropping in with different groups. I was giving speeches in 2020 around. So wanted to see what happened to Speakeasy. I saw your picture on your website, and I recognized like probably 5 people in that picture.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that were there when I was there. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming. All right, awesome. Cool. And let's go ahead and move on to our next section here now. We're going to go into our, let's see, role introductions. Okay, so we have kind of a odd situation here today. Most of the people that were filling roles are not here today. So Haley is slated as an evaluator, and I will be speaking today. So Haley, you're going to be my evaluator if you're okay with that still.
Yeah, I think Mike said he's gonna be 10 minutes late or something, so he might show up at some point.
Oh, that's right. You're right. He did say that. I forgot about that. And we are about 10 minutes past, so he should be jumping in any moment here.
Yeah,
Okay, so if if he shows up, then he was actually scheduled to be my evaluator. So would you mind doing,
I can do it if he doesn't show up. And then I think I'm supposed to be the timer today as well.
yep, perfect. Okay, cool. So we'll have you do the timer. And then
I can help out if it helps, Eric. If you need a refill.
that would be fantastic if you don't mind, Lanny.
Yeah, what you need.
If you could be our awe counter for today, that would be helpful. And then Jared, would you mind being our grammarian?
Yeah. What do I do exactly? Like count the ums and
So the awe counter counts the ums and ahs. Your job as grammarian is just to listen for interesting turns of phrase. So anything that anybody says that stands out to you, just write it down, and then at the end of the meeting, you'll just tell us what you found interesting that anybody said. So cool. And then I think that pretty much covers everything.
Table topics master.
Yeah, we did have Jerry scheduled, but she's not here, of course. So we'll have to just come up with some interesting table topics questions. I don't have the deck that Nick usually uses, so we'll just have to make some up on the spot or Google them.
I got a list of table topics if you want me to ask questions.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. We usually have a deck of cards that have table topics questions on them for situations like this, but they are elsewhere at the moment. Cool. Okay. So that covers our roles here. All right, we're going to move into our speakers portion of the meeting now. And I will be the only speaker for today. And then after that, we'll be doing table topics. So give me 1 second here to get my presentation set up.
And then do I have everybody's name right? So it's Allie, Haley, Eric, and then what's the other gentleman's name?
Lanny?
Lanny?
Yeah, Lanny.
Okay.
Eric, how long is your speech?
I believe it's going to be 5 to 7 minutes. This is a presentation that I got from Toastmasters. So
Okay.
I didn't write it myself. I'm not sure exactly how long it actually is, to be honest. So
Okay.
just a little bit of background for this speech. We're planning to have an open house on February 2nd. And this speech is the presentation that I will be presenting at the open house. So I'm practicing it today, and if you guys have any feedback for me for the speech, I would really appreciate it so I can do my best at the open house.
Eric, can you tell me a little bit about what an open house is?
Sure. Basically, we're just inviting people to come in as guests that day. We've kind of designated that as a day for everybody to come and show up. Normally we have guests come in at any meeting, but we're doing this kind of special meeting, I guess. It's going to be run just like a normal meeting, so there's not really going to be any difference noticed from you guys' point of view. There will probably just be a lot of guests there.
Awesome, thank you.
Do you guys already have a date for that?
On February 2nd. So if you have any friends that are interested, that'd be a great day for them to come. Hey, Mike, how's it going?
I'm good, Eric. How are you?
Doing good, thanks. All right.
Sorry.
You're totally fine. We just got through our role introductions and we're moving right into our speaker section for today. So are you ready to evaluate me? You're on mute.
Yep, I'm ready. Go ahead.
Perfect. All right. So I'm just going to share my screen really quick and get this presentation up and then we'll get rolling. All right, welcome everybody. Thank you for coming to our Toastmasters open house for today. My name is Eric Boring. I am the Vice President of Education here at the Downtown Speakeasy Toastmasters Club. And I would like to share with you today how our club can help you. So first off, what is Toastmasters? Toastmasters is a worldwide organization dedicated to helping people develop public speaking and communication skills, as well as leadership skills. Now, there are a ton of Toastmasters clubs all across the world. We have a bunch of them here in Denver, and many of our members are members of multiple clubs as well, to get that extra exposure in different cultures and environments. Now, this slide lists a lot of different things that you can benefit from Toastmasters, but I would actually like to share with you my own personal story and how I've benefited. So back in 2019, I was working for the Army. I was out at Fort Meade in Maryland, and I started interviewing with a bunch of different companies in order to look for a new job. I quickly became aware that I was doing a horrible job at presenting myself. I was stuttering, I was stammering, I was freezing up when they were asking me questions. I had trouble with eye contact. I was just doing this terrible job at presenting myself and I wasn't getting any offers. So I decided to join a local Toastmasters club out there in Maryland. And after just a couple of months, I started to notice a huge difference. I was doing a much better job at speaking when I was talking in these interviews. I was presenting myself much more confidently. And I started getting offers from these companies. Now, eventually, I interviewed with Amazon, AWS to be exact. And if any of you work in the tech industry, you know that the big tech companies, Amazon, Facebook, Netflix, all those companies, they are notorious for being extremely difficult to interview with and to get a job offer from. So when I interviewed at AWS, I found myself actually presenting myself quite well and being much more confident than I expected. And they made me an offer for a job out here in Denver, which is how I ended up here in Denver. My wife and I moved out here. So Toastmasters has been a huge, huge benefit for me personally. And I accepted a leadership position here in this club because I would like to share that benefit and help other people the way that Toastmasters has helped me. I want to pay it forward, so to speak. So what is the experience of being in Toastmasters like? Well, our meeting today, even though it's an open house, we're running it just like one of our regular meetings so that you can feel and experience what our club does and how our meetings are held and ran. You'll see that we get to come up here and speak in person. You'll see that we get to do impromptu speaking through our table topics, which we'll cover later on. You'll have opportunities to lead at meetings where you can fill some of our roles. You can be the Toastmaster, you can be an evaluator. And then you also get feedback from other people in the club. The feedback that you receive is extremely valuable. This is how we facilitate most of our growth. Now, Toastmasters has a learning program called Pathways. Pathways is consisting of short lessons that are easy to digest. You can do them pretty quickly. You can even do them on your cell phone when you're like riding the bus or whatever. And they work on all these different competencies and skills, and you can choose which ones you would like to work on. When you join, you get your first pathway for free, and then you can choose to add other pathways later on if you would like. Here's a quick glimpse at the Pathways program. On the left side, you'll see the 5 core competencies that the Pathways program focuses on. And then on the right side, you'll see the 11 different paths that you can choose from. Each of these paths focuses on particular skills, and you can, again, you can choose which one that you would like to go with. Now, I mentioned the evaluation process earlier. Every time you come up to speak, you will have an evaluator assigned to you. Your evaluator will give you feedback designed to help you grow and improve in your speaking and leadership skills. These evaluations are designed to be a positive way to build you up and to help you gain confidence. Toastmasters also has several other resources that you can take advantage of. There's an online magazine that has a lot of fantastic articles in it. They have speech contests that are held every year. There's an international convention, often it's held here in Denver, where Toastmasters headquarters is. There's also district conferences for the smaller districts. And then a lot of other stuff on toastmasters.org. Feel free to go and check it out as much as you like. Now, our club, let's talk about the budget a little bit. Our club is only $60 for a 6-month period. So Toastmasters does their enrollments in 6-month periods. And for our club, it's only $60, about $10 a month. There's also a one-time fee of $20 for a new person if you've never been in a Toastmasters club before. And it's billed at every 6 months, so it's not too bad. All right, if you are interested in joining our club, please go ahead and fill out our guest registry. The guest registry will send you an automatic email with all of the instructions in it. Go ahead and just follow those instructions and we'll get you all set up. Thank you so much for coming today, and we'll look forward to seeing you again.
Did my backgrounds work okay?
Yeah, I saw
Okay.
that.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you. All right, so we'll give about a minute here for everyone to give some feedback. Use the first link that I sent out, the DTSE feedback link. I can send them out again for anybody who didn't get them. And then we will move into the next section of our meeting. All right, does anybody need more time? Okay. We're going to go ahead and move into our table topics section of the meeting here. And Lanny has said that he has some questions that he can ask us for table topics. Go ahead and take it away, Lanny.
Thank you, Eric. Sorry, I turned off my camera. So I have a Toastmaster folder that's usually right here. I'm in mid-move. And then when I volunteered to do that, that's not available. My Toastmaster folder is gone. So these are kind of off the top of my head. Do you guys prefer for me to call on people, or should I ask a question and just have someone raise their hand?
We've done both ways in the past, so it's totally up to you, whatever you prefer.
How about I'll just ask a question, and if you guys think it's something, if it strikes you, go ahead and raise your hand. Call whoever I see first. What is a moment of success you have had in this past week?
Good question.
I'll give you an example of something that it could be just something really small. My wife and I, we both teach children right now for our company, and we've been teaching about 7 years. We had a student named Miles who was horrible. Miles was the worst student. We'd have to sit him off by himself, and the other 29 kids in our class would participate and stuff, and we would have to isolate him. Well, over time, we worked with Miles, and through a bunch of different strategies, we finally got Miles to turn around, and he had problems in all of his other programs. And we were out of schools for 1.5 years. We just went back in the fall, and we saw Miles the other day, and he's not in our program, but he just beamed when he saw us in the hallway. And it was so nice. And he gave my wife a high five. And for me, it was one of the most rewarding moments of that day. So just any like small, a high five, that's all it was. But it made my day.
That's super awesome. All right, I got one I can share. All right, so my wife and I, my wife is pregnant right now, and we're getting the baby room ready. And this past weekend, I finally finished painting the baby room. So that was a small success for me.
Nice. Thanks, Eric. And I hate painting. So anytime I finish painting a room, I love painting canvases, but rooms, phew, that's a chore.
Yeah,
Totally.
it took 2 weekends.
How about this one? I'll give you a little offbeat one. If reincarnation is true, what animal would you want to come back as? Cat, dog, turtle.
I've got an answer for that if nobody else wants to go.
Sounds good.
All right, so this one is one I've actually thought about in the past, ironically enough. So if I came back as another animal, I would want to be a well-loved house cat, because they don't have to do anything. They just get to lounge around all day, play with all the toys, and they have somebody else feed them and clean up after them. It would just be the perfect lounging life, I think.
I think so. Yeah, you guys might have seen a cat. I have one of my cats, Cleo, often when I'm on Zoom, loves to park it like right here. How about what part of the pandemic has challenged you, yet you found a solution for? Like in 2020, you were, oh, Allie.
I'll go. So I moved from Canada during the pandemic, and I moved during the time where everything was shut down. So what I ended up doing in order to make friends is starting a couple of adventure Facebook groups. And as a result, I ended up hosting a bunch of hikes and outdoor activities. And that made me realize that I have a lot of leadership skills because I was able to, in amidst a very difficult time, gather a group of people.
That's fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm always looking for ways to socialize, especially in the pandemic. It's been a
Agreed.
challenge for sure. How about anyone's favorite speaking success or failures? I've had a number of both. Sometimes failures are as fun to talk about.
I can go.
All right, Michael.
When I was in grad school a few years ago, I had to give an impromptu presentation. It was supposed to last 4 minutes. I was supposed to give like a brief for 4 minutes. And I did not have very much experience speaking in public. I think I spoke for a minute, if that. And my professor said, class, if you're ever in a professional meeting and so they give you 4 minutes to brief your position and you only use 1 minute, the rest of the people who hate your position are going to use your time against you. So class, sick them. And so the rest of my classmates basically just like hammered me, peppered me with questions and rebutting my points. And I had to just stand there and take it. And that is the single worst public speaking experience I've ever had, the worst failure I've ever had. And I think it's so important to have those tough failures because like, if that's the worst it's going to get or worst it got for me, then I think I'll be okay speaking in public under most other circumstances.
Thank you, Michael. Did you get a chance to kind of do a rebuttal against those questions or?
No, I was stunned. Yeah.
Can I answer that same question?
Yeah, that would be great.
Is that allowed? Okay, so I've hated public speaking most of my life. I don't like being the center of attention. But one event specifically that sticks out to me that made me think I really need to work on this was when I started a job in 2016 and I had to introduce myself to the company. It was like 30 people. It was my first day. I should have expected this, but for some reason I didn't, and I was very nervous speaking to the group. And I referred to my manager by the wrong name. His name was Rick, and I called him Mark. And I didn't even realize it until someone told me afterwards. I said, "Oh, I'm very excited to be working with Mark." And my face turned beet red when someone told me after I was finished. And I thought that was very bad that I didn't even recognize that I said the wrong name. So I hope I've made progress.
You got a built-in joke right there, Haley. Like every time you see him, you can just keep calling him Mark.
I don't work there anymore.
I want to take that same question if that's okay.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Jerry.
That's a good question. So mine was, it was similar to yours. So I was meeting one of our new like executives of the company, and there's a couple of bosses that I got to meet, and like the nerves just got the best of me. But that was one of the times that I realized how bad I was at public speaking. I actually didn't realize how bad I was until this particular situation, because I've been at the same job for a really long time, and I've always been really comfortable with the higher up leadership. So I never really had issues communicating anything. And once leadership changed and a lot of things in the company changed, having to introduce myself and present myself and my business, I really struggled, and finding that out in front of your boss is like traumatizing. It was truly a really just like a bad experience. Like I was like, I need to go like talk to a shrink or something, like this is gonna mess me up. And I just really got inside my head, and they started asking questions. And I also struggle with ADHD, which doesn't help because my mind can tend to go blank sometimes. And they're asking me questions and I'm going blank. It was just overall kind of a mess. And the following time that I got to talk to them, it got a little bit better, but I think I was so traumatized from the first time that that it just made me get inside my head, and it almost made me feel like I got worse at it or something. I don't even know how to explain it, but it's part of the reason why I chose to do this, and I am getting better and I'm practicing with my boss, and obviously every class helps a little bit. But yeah, it was a pretty traumatizing situation, but I think it had to happen for me to do something about it, if that makes sense. So I'm glad it happened, and I'll see myself get better and better. And I was really glad that Eric went through that personal testimony, I guess, because it gives me hope, So yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jared. Yeah, I'm failing woefully at Odd Counter too, because I was running trying to find my questions, and then I've been engrossed in your guys' answers. But I remember my first speech in college when I was asked to speak. It was just extemporaneous. It wasn't even before a speech or anything like that. But the first time I had to speak, and my best friend was in class, and I was so in my head that when they got to me, I literally let out almost like a growl noise before I spoke. And my friend afterwards was like, what happened to you? And he's like, someone needs a speech class. And I took speech, and my favorite class in college. So I think Toastmasters is a great way to keep working at it. Did you want me to ask more questions, Eric, or I wasn't sure how much time we had?
Let's do a couple more. We've only got one evaluation today, so we've got a few extra minutes here. So
okay. Here's a dumb one I remember hearing past. If you had a theme song to your life, what would your theme song be? Is there a certain song that stands out? And why?
I can answer this one. So I mean, the theme song to my life kind of changes, every several months or so, depending on what's going on in my life, But the one that's kind of been stuck with me recently for maybe the past year, maybe a little more than a year, I don't know, kind of with the pandemic and things like that going on. It's a song from a German band. The band is called Ewigheim, and the song is called Alles wird gut, which means everything will be okay. And it's the song itself has just this very deep bass line, and then the guitar is pretty deep down on it, and it has some pretty good percussion, and the percussion is my favorite part. But whenever I'm feeling overwhelmed or feeling stressed out, I've started telling myself alles wird gut. And it seems kind of funny because I only speak a little tiny bit of German, but I don't know, it just kind of helps me to feel a little bit better about things, I suppose. So
that's fantastic, Eric. I love it. I love the total description of the song. I love how you use it as a motivator. It's really cool.
thank you.
Anyone else have a song that I've had a song stuck in my head the last week, and even if I get up in the middle of the night or something, the song will pop into my head, and that's that same kind of thing, kind of dealing with the return to 2020, it feels like for me.
What song is it?
It's a Sarah Gerrars, I think is how you pronounce her name, and I'm trying to remember the name. It's the name of a person. It's like Zoe or something like that. But I just have like the chorus going through my head often. It's been stuck.
Nice.
No other theme songs out there? What about favorite? We've all experienced holidays, or if you haven't done much with your family or friends for the holidays lately, what's your favorite thing on this last break? If you had a break for December, January. Any favorite moments?
Jared, you're on mute.
Sorry, geez.
Alright.
I can go. One of my favorite moments this last time that I had some time off was instead of going somewhere or visiting family out of state or, you know, things that I typically do when I have time off, I really just took some time to myself. I got caught up in all of my chores and like laundry and errands, maintenance on my car, just like the things that I keep putting off. I just went through and caught myself up to start fresh, and that felt really, really good.
Thank you, Jared.
I can go.
Allie. Awesome.
My New Year's this year was a bit different than in the previous years because I wasn't hungover for the first time. And that's when I realized that I'm finally growing up and becoming wiser because I don't want to celebrate my New Year's just getting completely hammered. So instead, I spent the New Year's Day on the mountain snowboarding and really enjoying that with my sister. We ended up waking up super early and getting first chair. And so for the first time in a long time, I started my new year in a clear state of mind and doing something that I enjoy and I'm very passionate about. And the fact that I got to be with my sister made the new year be really memorable and meaningful. Thank you.
That's fantastic.
How are we doing, Eric? Do we got time for one more? Or?
Yeah, we got time for one more.
Okay, here's a question for catharsis. Has there ever been a moment of stupidity during the pandemic where you're like, oh, just like, why did that person do that? Example, my niece got COVID from her stepfather who knew he had COVID, drove her in his truck without a mask or anything, and then went Christmas shopping for 3 hours with COVID. And she ended up getting it, of course.
Oof.
Any moments where you see someone and you're just like, just no.
I can go. I'm gonna almost copy your story. I know someone who got sick over the holiday break in between Christmas and New Year's, but she lives out of state, and her family who she was staying with here in Denver, they were getting it sick and just like slowly testing positive one day after the other. She and her husband had to go back to Connecticut, and I admit I'm confused by the new CDC guidelines, but they traveled while they were positive, and I think their symptoms were improving. I don't know how they justified it necessarily, but I think they took precautions. But I've been very disappointed, and it's just kind of been a struggle to recognize how different people's limits are during this whole couple of years. So it's one of those moments, I don't know what to do about that, but it's a little upsetting.
Well, thank you for sharing, Haley. Yeah, it's definitely a confusing time. Sorry to end on a downer note, but I'm sure all of us are trying to do our best and behave well and not pass on COVID, hopefully. Back to you, Eric.
All right, thank you, Lanny. I appreciate you stepping in with these questions for our table topics today. That was very helpful. All right, and I realized just now I completely forgot about word of the day today. My bad, my mistake. I promise I will do better next time. All right, let's go ahead and move into our evaluations or evaluation for today. That's coming from Mike. Mike, whenever you are ready. You are muted.
Great start, great start. Thank you, Eric, and thank you very much for your speech today. It was fun to preview a speech you're going to give again. Overall, I thought you gave a very good overview of Toastmasters, and You spoke very clearly. You had good gestures, and I thought that the speech was very well laid out. One thing I really liked in particular, and of course I figured you would do this, but you gave a personal story and you related your experience with Toastmasters. You related the importance of Toastmasters back to yourself and how it's worked into your life and how it's helped you improve. I would actually recommend that you even spend a little bit more time doing that and delve more into what you specifically worked on to improve and how that led to your job at AWS. If I were to recommend any changes, you're going to do this in person, correct? You're not going to do this online?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, great. I thought that the speech was very well laid out, and I really would have liked more of an outline in the beginning, just so I know like where you would be taking us and why I should care. You spoke a little bit about our club specifically at the end in terms of like dues, but it might be worth mentioning, like a few of the members or how big the club is, maybe the history of the club. I noticed that, but I don't know exactly your time goals because I missed the first part of this meeting, but you did use up all of your time. However, again, it was like a very well organized and very clear speech. You got to the point very quickly. You had good use of gestures. You spoke very clearly. I noticed like maybe one or two uhs or ums, and that was really it. So yeah, I thought it was a good speech, very clear, and you definitely, communicated what Toastmasters is all about. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Okay, now we're going to go into our reports section of the meeting for today. Let's start with our timers report. Haley, are you ready with our timers report?
Yes, I am.
Awesome.
Okay, Eric, your speech was exactly 7 minutes, so good job on that.
Awesome.
Your table topics were 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and 1 minute and 18 seconds. Mike, your evaluation was 2 minutes and 4 seconds, and your table topic was 1 minute and 2 seconds. Jared, your table topics were 2 minutes and 42 seconds. So that was a little over, but your second one was 42 seconds, a little under. And then I don't even think we said what the limit was, so I think it's totally okay today. Allie, your table topics are 40 seconds and 55 seconds. And that is all.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Haley. All right. Now I am struggling to figure out how to use the poll here. So instead of having the poll pop up to vote for our best table topics today, I'm just going to have everybody send me a message in the chat. Send it to me privately. So change the 2 to Eric, if you would, and then just send me your vote for best table topic speaker for today. And then let me get my agenda back up here. Our next report is going to be from the AW counter. Lanny, do you have an AW counters report for us?
Wish I had a better counter report. I caught myself about halfway through table topics, realizing I had not written anything down. I did catch a couple ums, a like, and an and with Jared. Michael, I caught a couple uhs or ums during your evaluation. Sounded like you had a couple uhs or ums, Eric, based on what Michael said. But I think since we didn't have word of the day, if we just used as the word of the day, I think we all probably were successful today.
I like that idea. Let's run with it. Thank you, Lanny. All right, and then we have our grammarians report. Jared.
Yeah, so some interesting speaking points that really stuck out to me. The first one was your speech, Eric. you gave a lot of really good information, in my opinion, for Toastmasters and what it entails. This is my third one as a guest, I believe, and I'm officially gonna like be part of it, which I'm really excited for. So I appreciate all the good info. It really stuck out to me when you talked about how Toastmasters really helped give you that confidence to get the job that you're in Denver. That's really cool, and I hope that I can say something like that in the next few months or year, however long it takes me to get consistent and get good at this. So that was really cool. That really stuck out to me. The other one that really stuck out was Allie's. I mean, I don't know Allie very much, but I can tell she's a very strong individual. It's really cool and admirable to be able to move during the pandemic and really have that self-awareness that you speak about. It's really cool how you started off your new year with a lot more meaning than you have in other years. I think that that's really cool and inspiring. And I was also really glad when Lonnie mentioned that his mind also goes blank, or he's had similar issues in the past as I have. That was really cool, because sometimes I think that it's just me that struggles with some of these issues. So yeah, that really stuck out to me. Those were the main ones. I'm not a good multitasker, but yeah, those were the main things that like really stuck out to me.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Jared. Cool. Okay, now let's go into our votes here. It looks like for our best table topics today, Allie, you got the votes. You won. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I would have never thought I would win.
You're welcome. All right. Cool. So we're gonna end just a few minutes early here. It looks like let's see if we have any announcements real quick. On the February 2nd is our open house. So if you have any friends that are interested or you know anybody, please invite them to our open house on February 2nd. We do have posters that you can hang up if you would like. They're small ones. They're 8.5 by 11 letter size. But if you know anywhere that you can pin up a poster, like at your work, if you have a bulletin board, or if there's a coffee shop that you like to go to, anything like that, let me know. I can get you one of these posters and you can pin it up there. And then the next 2 meetings are also going to be Zoom only. So we will not be meeting in person for the next 2 meetings. After that, however, starting February 2nd again, we will be doing the hybrid meeting again. So in person is at Enterprise Co-working in Rhino. Feel free to come join us in person if you would like. The information for that is on our website, downtownspeakeasy.org. All right. Does anybody have any positive successes in their life they'd like to share with the group? Okay, well, you guys are all awesome. Thank you so much for showing up today. We're going to give you 5 minutes back today. So thank you so much. Have a great Wednesday afternoon. We'll see you next week.
You as well. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a great week.